Good morning, students. Now we have come to the next chapter in botany, which is called the plant kingdom. That means in this unit we will be discussing the diversity of living world and plant kingdom, diversity in plant kingdom. Now we know that the on this earth living organisms are existing and classified into plants and animals. Plants and animals are classified based on what? Based on nutrition, locomotion, underline there, nutrition, locomotion, presence or absence of cell wall. These are the criteria. Nutrition, always autotrophic in case of plants. Locomotion, they cannot move, presence or absence of cell wall. Bacteria, fungi, algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperms were included under plant group. But recently, the bacteria and fungi are separated from the plant kingdom based on, underline there with the help of molecular characteristic features, bacteria and fungi were segregated. Bacteria and fungi were segregated and placed under separate kingdoms. Botany is the oldest science in the world because its origin was from time immemorial. Long years ago, when the human being came on this earth, they have started to use the plants for different purposes. So it is called time immemorial, as early men explored and identified plants for the need of food, clothing, medicine, shelter, all purposes. So plants are unique living entities as they are endowed or provided with the power of harvest of light energy. Plants are only living organisms have the capacity to trap the light energy from the sun, and they form the food through the astounding reaction, surprising method, which is called the photosynthesis. They not only supply the nutrients to all living things living on this earth, but sequester, underline there, conserve or absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, thus minimizing the effect of one of the major greenhouse gases that increase the global warming, increase in global temperature. So that is not only giving the food, helping to reduce the CO2 concentration in the environment, so that global temperature also is decreasing. Plants are diverse in nature, range from microscopic to macroscopic. Highly developed angiosperm. Macroscopic, we know they're very big. Macroscopic means we can see without the help of microscope. Microscopic means without microscope we cannot see them. Algae. Macroscopic angiosperms. Gymnosperms, angiosperms. Two extreme structures can be seen. There are mysteries and wonders in the plant world in terms of size, shape, habitat we will be discussing, and reproduction. Although plants are all made up of cells, there exists high diversity in form and structure. Though they are having cells, because living organisms means their body will be made up of cells, but there also we can see great diversity in form and structure. That is the introduction about this classification, about this kingdom, plant kingdom. Now next we are going to discuss about the classification of plants. Classification widely accepted for plants now include Embryophyta, which is divided into Bryophyta and Tracheophyta. Bryophyta, we know, thalloid plant body, leaf-like, root-like, stem-like structures are also present. Tracheophyta having the xylem elements. Trachea, xylem vessels are present. The later is, the Tracheophyta is further divided into Pteridophyta and Spermatophyta. Pteridophyta, we know that it is called, they are not non-flowering plants. But Spermatophyta meaning is seed-bearing plants. Sperma means seed-bearing plants. They are called spermatophytes. Spermatophyte will be coming under two, gymnospermy and angiospermy. Now in classification, if I will show that one, In this class, next page, in 2.1, the flowchart or the schematic presentation has been given. Kingdom Plantae. It is broadly divided into subkingdom. Cryptogamy. Cryptogamy means, crypto means hidden. That means they are non-flowering and non-flowering plant or non-seed bearing plant. As flower is not produced, they are not bearing the seed also. So non-flowering means immediately the word will come non-seed bearing plants. That is a subkingdom Phanerogams. They are flower bearing and seed bearing plants. Flower or seed bearing plants, producing plants. Now this cryptogamy again subdivided into 3 classes: algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta. And seed bearing plants of Phanerogams are classified into 2: gymnospermy and angiospermy. That is naked. Gymno means naked. Gymno means naked. Angio means hidden or closed. That we will be discussing when we will be discussing the important characteristic feature. So that is the classification of Plantae. So starting from algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm. Now next, life cycle pattern in plants. Alternation of generation. Generation means there are 2 generations can be seen in all living organisms. One is called the gametophytic generation, that is where the haploid cells are producing. Another phase is called the sporophytic generation, where the diploid plant body can be seen. And these 2, gametophytic phase and the diploid phase, is called the sporophytic phase, that comes one after another alternately. That's why the term is called alternation of generations. So gametophytic phase and the sporophytic phase comes alternately. First gametophytic, then sporophytic, and from sporophytic again gametophytic. Like that way, the 2 phases alternate with each other. Alternation of generation is common in all plants. Alternation of the haploid phase, haploid phase is also called the gametophytic phase. With diploid means sporophytic phase, I told, during the life cycle is called alternation of generation. So alternation of haploid phase with the diploid phase during the life cycle of a plant is called the alternation of generation. There are 3 types of alternation of generations can be seen. First one is called haplontic life cycle. Haplontic life cycle, the word meaning is there. In the life cycle, haploid phase is dominant. Haploid means what? A gametophytic phase. So the haplontic life cycle means gametophytic phase is dominant, and this phase is photosynthetic also. They are independent. They are not depending on others. They can survive by themselves. Whereas sporophytic phase is represented by only the zygote. Fusion of the gamete will be taking place, zygote will form, and immediately after formation of zygote, again it will divide by meiosis division to form the haploid spores. And from the haploid spores, again gametophytic phase comes back. Zygote undergoes meiosis to restore, again bring back the haploid phase. I will show here. See, haplontic. The plant body is gametophytic. Gametophytic, gametogenesis, gametes producing. Gametes, syngamy. Syngamy means fusion of male and female gamete. Then zygote form. Immediately after formation of zygote, meiosis takes place. So haploid spores produced. And these spores germinate to form the gametophyte. So in this case, what is happening? In the green color, this phase, if total it is a life cycle of the plant, green color phase is occupying more or less 1/3 or 2/3 portion. 2/3 portion, and 1/3 portion only the sporophytic phase. That means diploid phase. So which phase is dominant here? The gametophytic phase or the haploid phase. That's why this type of life cycle is called the haplontic. Understood? Now next, what are the examples? Which type of plants will be showing? Now algae, wallbox, Spirogyra, they are the algae. Algae, so their plant body is gametophytic phase, and zygote formation takes place by the fusion of gametes. Immediately after formation of zygote, meiosis takes place to bring back the haploid phase or gametophytic phase. Now next one is called the diplontic phase. The word is saying again, what do you mean by that? Now diploid phase is dominant. That means diploid phase means sporophytic phase is dominant, photosynthetic and independent. Gametophytic phase is represented by the single or fused gametophytes. Gametes fuse to form the zygote, which develops into the sporophyte. Where we can see in a fucus. Fucus is a type of algae. Exception is a gymnosperm and angiosperm, most of the cases. So if we see again the diagram, this is the diplontic phase. Plant body is sporophytic. Spore formation will be taking place, gametogenesis. Then gametogenesis means both male and female gamete, they will fuse. Gametogenesis, gamete formation will be taking place. And meiosis, so that n number of chromosomes will be produced. Haploid gametes will be produced. Again fusion, zygote. From zygote again sporophytic phase comes back. So in this red color is the sporophytic phase. Here also this is the sporophytic phase. But here we can see sporophytic phase is occupying 2/3 portion in the life cycle. That's why this type of life cycle is called the diplontic. Where we can see keep in your memory gymnosperm and angiosperm. Now third type, both 50-50. 50-50 you see, 50-50. That means that's why it is called haplodiplontic phase. In this phase, this type of life cycle is found in bryophytes and pteridophytes. Algae can be seen haplontic phase. Extreme case diplontic phase is gymnosperm and angiosperm. And in between, algae, after that I told bryophyte, pteridophyte. The bryophyte, pteridophyte, they will show the haplodiplontic phase of their life cycle. This type of life cycle is found in bryophytes and pteridophytes, which is intermediate between haplontic, that one I told, intermediate between haplontic and diplontic type. Both the phases are multicellular, but they differ in their dominant phase. In bryophytes, dominant independent phase is gametophyte, but in case of pteridophyte, dominant independent phase is sporophyte, underlined there. And it alternates with the short-lived sporophytic phase, totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte. So, in case of bryophyte, plant body is gametophyte and sporophytic plant develops due to the fusion of the gametes, and the sporophytic phase is dependent on the gametophytic phase. But here just opposite, in case of pteridophytes, plant body is sporophyte, is the independent phase. It alternates with the multicellular saprophytic or autotrophic independent short-lived gametophyte. Till here. Okay, thank you children.